Hey everybody, we're back with another cooking video. This is a recipe that was very popular from the blog, and this also happens to be a recipe I cooked on the truck. I love comfort food, and to me, soup, stews, and chili are fantastic comfort foods, and I didn't always have time to throw things in a crock pot and wait a long time or anything. So what I did was I would make this really quick pan chili that I can serve very quickly. So what we're going to do is we are going to make a keto version of chili called Dark Chile Mole. If you check the recipe at Carrie Brown, or check for the recipe at carriebrown.com, it's in the blog post. There's going to be a link below, so you want to check that out. We're going to start off by browning some bacon. So I got some bacon in the pan. I've cut the bacon into little bite-sized pieces, and we are going to brown this stuff up so that we can get a nice amount of fat in the chili, and of course everything's better with bacon. So as that goes, we like to do the videos in real time so you can actually see how long it takes to prep these meals, and see how it doesn't really take an exceptional long time. You don't have to be in the kitchen for hours and hours on end to make a really tasty meal. It does take a little bit of time. Of course, it's a little bit longer than going out to eat or ordering pizza, but if you want to eat healthier and you want to control your ingredients, cooking at home is really one of the best ways to go, because when I was out driving, there would be a lot of times where I couldn't figure out why I wasn't dropping weight as fast, why I wasn't feeling as bad. And I started talking to people at some of the restaurants, and they would throw things in the ingredients that I didn't know about until I talked to people that worked at the restaurants. For example, one of the chain restaurants that served diner food at a lot of the truck stops, I was unaware, added pancake batter to their omelets to make them fluffier. So I was getting spiked with the flour and things. So it's really good if you want to cook at home, if you really want to focus in on what you're doing so that you can control the ingredients that you're taking in, see the reactions your body has, and eliminate anything that might be nefarious. This is going to take a minute. So we're going to go away and we're going to come back when the bacon is brown. Hey everybody, so we are back and we have browned up the bacon, and then we're going to pull it out, set it aside. When I was on the truck, I would do this often in an electric skillet or on my camp stove, and sometimes I would do this in my Ninja or the Instapot when I had it. You could do the saute mode, and you could easily do this. So there's a variety of ways that you can get this done. For me, a skillet and a camp stove worked just fine. If I wasn't able to get out and use the camp stove, then one of the devices that I had in the truck worked really well. Next, we got our ground beef. Now, I'm using ground beef, but you really can use just about any kind of meat you want to, ground meat that you want to. I prefer ground beef, or bison. Sometimes venison if I can get it, but it'll all work. So if you're a person that doesn't like to eat red meat for whatever reason, you can substitute with turkey meat or ground chicken if you want to. It'll all work just fine. You won't get the fat content you get with red meat or the nutritional count, but I do understand that people have reasons why they don't eat red meat, so you could always substitute for something like that. You want to check the video for the links below to the blog so that you can get the recipe and see the ratios that we're doing. And you also want to look at the links below too, because a lot of times we have discount codes for products that we use, or we have links to help you out in finding ingredients. So you want to check that out. One of the other things that we're going to be adding to this later, but I wanted to point out, is bone broth. And we have a video on making homemade bone broth in a very simple way on the Ninja. So if bone broth isn't something that you know how to do, or you think it takes too long, you should watch the video, because it's actually very easy. And it's really hard to get quality bone broth that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. There's some really good bone broth products out there that you can get. There is companies like Bonafide Provisions, Epic, a few other companies that are really good. But generally, if it's a shelf-stable bone broth, you have to be very careful with the ingredients, and a lot of times it doesn't have the collagen count that you would have with a regular bone broth. So we're going to see you in a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and brown up this beef, and then I'm going to take you through the rest of it. Hey, we're back, and we have some browned beef here. So we are going to now add our onions. We're going to saute that up. Onions can be a little carby. So if you're worried about the carbs, you could actually not use onions and just use some onion powder and leave it like that if you want, or use less onion. I used a whole onion that wasn't very large. It was about that big. So next we're going to add some garlic. I do love some fresh chopped garlic. I'm going to mix that in there. Kind of simmer this a little bit. What we want is we want to get these onions to the point where they're starting to get translucent and starting to cook in, but not cooked all the way yet. And I brought the beef to where it was just getting brown, but it wasn't quite cooked all the way, because I knew I was going to be cooking this other stuff. So I didn't want to overdo the beef. So there was still a little pink in the beef. I'm cooking on my cast iron skillet right now. We got the Lodge cast iron. They're really good. And I do love to use these skillets because of how durable they are. It might be just me, but I really swear they add a different flavor to whatever you're cooking. And we also have a video on how to season and take care of and do maintenance on your cast iron skillet if you want to check that out. You can often find, if you're a person that likes to go to yard sales and thrift stores, you can often find cast iron skillets that people got rid of that are a little rusted and not maintained that well, that people think it's too much to take care of, and you can very easily restore those. And on the video, I actually cleaned out and restored a cast iron skillet that was a little bit rusty, as well as talked about the new cast iron skillets. When you get a new cast iron skillet, even if it's pre-seasoned, you really want to season that also. And you can check out our video on how to maintenance and season your cast iron skillets, and also keep them nice over time. So my onions are starting to get a little translucent, and I'm going to start adding my spices. That is the fun part. So I got a whole bunch of spices here. I'm going to add my chili powder first. You do want to be careful when you shop for your spices. They often have things that are a little nefarious mixed in, things that anti-clumping agents and things like that. They're not always very clean. I'm going to add some cumin. I'm going to add some chipotle powder. In case you don't know what a chipotle is, that's a smoked jalapeno. I have some oregano, some dried oregano. That's going to go in. And I am going to add in my dark chocolate. Okay. And I am going to toss in a little bit of coconut aminos. And we're going to mix this all around, get it all incorporated in with the meat. And these dry spices, you'll notice you'll have a lot of moisture in your pan. These dry spices will absorb up actually a lot of that moisture and thicken things up a bit for you. And with the chocolate, you're going to get a nice dark chili. I also added some cinnamon in here for a touch of sweetness to that spice. If you want to go red eye style, you can add a tablespoon or so of espresso powder, which is awesome. But I don't like to do that often because I eat my chili a lot of times at night and then I can't go to sleep. So now I have got some apple cider vinegar. It doesn't have to be apple cider vinegar. It can be other vinegars as well. But I'm adding it to add a little bit of the bite to the flavor of the meat, the chili here. So it has a little bit of a bite to it. Next, I am going to add my chilies, roasted chilies. They were out of green chilies at the market. That's what the ingredients call for. So I had to get some ripe chilies and I roasted them myself. You can get canned roast chilies or you can roast your own chilies. We'll link below to the proper kind of chilies that we like to use. Now this is really starting to smell good. I'm going to toss my bacon back in. I'm just going to keep incorporating everything. Where I got the idea to add the chocolate to the chili is traveling down in Mexico. They have this dish, and I really was a big fan of the Oaxacan style when I was down there. I don't know what they did. I got to find out one day, but they had this incredible mole that they would make, and they would make from the chocolate that they had on their own land, and they would take it from the bean all the way to finished product for the chocolate and then use it for all kinds of different things, including mole. Mole in Spanish just means mix, but oftentimes in the US when you hear mole, people will associate it with a dark stew that is heavy on chocolate. But actually if you think guacamole, it's a mixture of avocado and other things, and it has mole at the end. So next, I'm going to add my tomato paste. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick. So, you can spend time trying to, when you open the tomato paste, trying to spoon it out and have fun with that. Or, you can cut both ends and just press on one end and push it right into there. Now, when you're using any kind of canned tomato products, please read the ingredients, because they often add sugar and a bunch of other things to them that are not great. You really don't want to have. So you really want to check out those ingredients. I'm going to add my tomatoes next. And these are just some crushed tomatoes. You can use stewed tomatoes. Again, be careful of the ingredients in the canned tomatoes. They can be really, really not great. And my bone broth. And this bone broth is really gelled up. It's got some fat to it because I cooked it right from the bones. This is actually the bone broth that I cooked on the video, and when we went to go check it the next day, the whole jar was just jelly. There was so much great gelatin and collagen in it. It was really fantastic. My last piece de resistance, a little bay leaf. So I've gotten everything in there. I'm going to turn this down to low. And what I'm going to do is, this is basically done, but I'm going to let this simmer for a little bit to allow the flavors to marry together, to allow that bay leaf to work a little bit of the tannins into it, and the flavor, and some of this moisture. I'm going to leave it uncovered, and I want some of this moisture to cook off so that it thickens this chili up really nice. And there you have the dark chocolate chili mole. And it also, as the moisture cooks off, it'll simmer for 10-15 minutes. When the moisture cooks off and it gets real thick, the color will also darken and deepen and rich. Now, you could do this. This makes a great topping for a good quality hot dog. If you want a chili dog, you can do a chili dog bowl with some cheddar cheese. I like having it with some cilantro and some cheese melted on top, and not just cheddar cheese, but I like jack cheese and all kinds of stuff. And another great way you can go is, if you want, you can do an omelet in the morning and throw some chili in it. I like doing it. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next recipe video.